now. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. It is week 13. We're getting close to playoff time and getting close to finalizing our prediction competition. So the first thing I'll ask you is how are you doing? But the second thing I will ask you is how did it look last week?
Well, how I'm doing, the answer to that is better than Raiders fans right now because they thought they were legit. And they got
If only
stomped.
someone had told them, like if there only had been someone like all season who came on every week and was like, yo, you're frauds, just you're going at Nate. If only.
Yeah, exactly.
But there wasn't anyone.
Hey, if somebody would have just informed the entire NFL audience that the Raiders and the Bears are not legit. I mean, somebody should have done that, but
Someone should have made a podcast about that like weeks ago.
I know, man, it would have been so perfect. But I actually won last week.
Wow. Okay.
We only disagreed on one game, so there was not much room I could make up. I thought it was more. I thought we had at least 3 games, but I look back and we only disagreed on the Panthers-Viking game. And that came down to a 1-point victory in my favor. So,
A game that they should have never won anyway.
Yeah, that's true, but then again, I don't think the Panthers wanted it that bad either. But 12 for me, 11 for you brings the total to 113.5 for me and 117.5 for you.
Okay, so you're closing in, but I'm still keeping this lead, and I'm going to build on that lead this week. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Even though I lost, it was still a good score, and also I won both my bets last week, which is worth noting. And of course, with that, there'll be another 2 betting tips for the games coming up for this week after our predictions. So if you want to make some money, stay tuned for that. But I think we get into the predictions here. So no Tuesday night game because the Ravens-Steelers game is still out at the point of recording. So we don't have the score on that at the moment. So we're gonna get going here with the first Sunday game, which is gonna be the Browns at Titans.
The Browns at Titans, man. It's not as tough as if you look at their record right now. They're both 8-3, and just looking at that from the outside, you would say this is a tough game. But this is the fighting Derrick Henrys we're talking about, and as we've noticed for the past 4 seasons in a row, once it gets cold outside, Derrick Henry is unstoppable. Like nobody wants to tackle that giant man running up the middle of the field. Like, no, you can try. I mean, he's not going to let you. But even if you're big enough to, it's cold. And he's going to, like, break you like a block of ice. Anyway, my post-hype sleepers, they're doing great. They're still winning like I predicted they would. But I don't think they're going to win this one. The Titans are at home. It's cold outside. I'm taking the Derrick Henrys.
I mean, we discussed last week about the Titans-Colts being potentially a close one, and we put it up. See if the Titans offense can show up 100%, they have a chance to win the game. I mean, they rolled over them. They looked dominant. They looked like the AFC Championship Titans once again, which we initially said they probably weren't gonna get back to that level this season. But so far, I mean, we have to give them that. They definitely are still in that contention to go back. So I will agree with you on this one. 2 teams with the same record, but not the same playing strength. That should be an easy win for Tennessee. I think they're in the slightly tougher division this year, and they've had a tougher schedule. They'll probably win this game. And if this were to be a playoff matchup at some point, I would still favor Tennessee, especially given the weather argument you made, which typically favors every run game. Which the Browns also are a run-heavy offense, though. So we might see a lot of ground games, but I'm still going with the Titans to win it. Raiders at the Jets.
Yeah, and I just thought of something before we move on to that one. That's going to be the Georgia running back who is really dominant versus the Alabama running back who is extremely dominant. Both of them extremely dominant in the cold at that. Yeah, 2 power run teams. That's going to be awesome. Raiders and Jets, man. this is actually tougher than I thought it was going to be. Because the Raiders, they had won 6 games up to last week. But they got stomped by a team that should be tanking right now. By all means, the Falcons should be tanking. But they come out and beat the Raiders like they stole something from them. I really don't know. It may be more of a symptom of I don't know what to make of my favorite team, which is the Falcons. But the Jets are still 0-11, and they still have Adam Gase. I would not be surprised if this is the Jets' first win right here. But I'm going to pick the frauds for right now because the Jets, I don't know that they want to win.
I was hoping you were going to pick the Jets here. I really were hoping you're going to pick the Jets because you were going to overreact to that Atlanta game. This is exactly what frauds do. Mm-hmm. And as good as I am at identifying frauds and calling them out perpetually, I'm really bad at predicting which game are going to be the fraud games and which games are going to be the true games. Now, this was obviously one of the true games, one of the games where they kind of revealed what they really were. And it goes back and forth. Remember, they beat some strong teams. They closed against Kansas City, or did even win the first game against Kansas City. I'm not even sure. They did great before, and then they go back and they get completely smacked by the Falcons. This is the Jets. Now that's legitimately a terrible team. Not even just a fraud team, but just terrible in every way. So the Raiders are going to win this game, easily going to win this game. Anything else is a mirage. I don't think they're this fraudulent. They're just regular frauds, but not this bad. So Raiders, easy win. Mm-hmm. Jaguars and Vikings.
Oh, and I will say, yes, they did beat the Chiefs the first time. Chiefs only lost, as a matter of fact. Jaguars and Vikings. And like you said, the Vikings didn't play well, but they did get the victory. Jaguars, I think they're in the Jets. They're in the same boat with the Jets. They want that first overall pick. And maybe the Jets want it just a little bit more. See, the Jaguars messed up by winning that first game against the Colts because they didn't realize they were going to be this bad. I think the Jets knew from the beginning, hey, we are the worst team in the NFL. We're just going to tank. The Jaguars were like, oh, man, maybe we could win this. And then 6-7 games later, they're like, you know what? We can't win this. And now they're 1-10. Vikings are still a better team overall. Kirk Cousins shows up from time to time and plays well. And this is at home for the Vikings, so I'm going to take the Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings at this point have the highest PFF graded receiving core in the entire NFL, and they just traded away Stephon Diggs, who is arguably the single best receiver this year in the NFL. So let that sink in. With Justin Jefferson coming in, it's amazing. For the Jaguars, after the first week, I was a bit perplexed. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? They were supposed to be bad. They just beat the Colts, who was supposed to be really good. I was thinking Jaguars. I was looking at, did we completely judge them incorrectly? Are they going to the playoffs? I was thinking Gardner Minshew had an MVP game that first week, and you said it. After that, just nothing anymore. Just completely nothing. It was literally 1 week. It was over. The Vikings are going to win this game. They are trending up. Beat the Panthers. They should not have beaten the Panthers, but you got to give it to them. They came through in the clutch, and they made it happen. So Minnesota to beat Jacksonville. This one's one we were all looking for until Joe Burrow got hurt, unfortunately. The Bengals at the Dolphins.
Yeah, and it's pretty sad to see, man. I think this is a game that the Bengals could have actually won. But, I mean, all in all, this is going to help my prediction of a 4-win team here. But didn't want to see it in that way. I didn't want to see Joe Burrow go out with such a devastating injury there. Dolphins, hey, they can win. They can win, they're probably playoff bound if everything continues on this path. They pretty handily stomped out the Jets. I'm gonna take Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think Tua's coming back, and I think even if he were to make it back for this game, the Dolphins are still gonna win. But yep, definitely take the Dolphins at home.
Yeah, Dolphins could win with Fitzpatrick. They can win with Tua. The Bengals are not, without Joe Burrow, are not an opponent where they have to force Tua in by any means. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to get it done. the Bengals could have definitely contended. I don't know about winning against this defense, but they could have contended against the Dolphins with Joe Burrow playing the way he's been playing. Unfortunately, that's not happening, so this makes it an easy pick for us, but a less interesting game to watch. Miami wins. Colts at Texans.
Well, yeah, the Texans beat the stew out of the Lions. There's no way around it, man. They come out there and just dominated from the first snap. I guess the thing for the Colts here, you know, even though they're coming off a bad loss and the Texans are coming off a win, the Colts are still an overall better coached team. They have a better O-line. They have a better D-line. You can't say they have the better quarterback or maybe running back. I mean, Duke Johnson's not that great. And, you know, they got that trio. If we can get the rookie back into the lineup this week. Other than that, I would say they're about even on running back. Colts are on the road. This is tough, man. I think I'm going to pick the Colts here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans win another one here. I mean, the Colts, I'm not going to be cute with it. I'm going to stay with the Colts.
I've had a very similar train of thought as you had here. This is a much closer game than you would think by the records. And by the way, having a look at the odds, bookmakers agree this is a 3-point spread. So the Colts are favored by a field goal, which is much less than you would think, given the record. But they came off an underwhelming performance. Houston has been doing well. You would think Indianapolis has the better team, and it's definitely the intelligent pick. It's the pick I'm going to make because I think they should win this. If they want to prove they're a playoff team, they have to win it. And I have faith in them being able to do it. But it could be an upset game, and I do quite understand the odds there, as weird as they look with the records.
Yeah.
This is a tough one, and I wouldn't blame anyone for taking a shot at Houston here, betting-wise. But I have faith in the Colts getting it done. The defense should be able to put pressure. Texans' offensive line isn't exactly great, and they should eke it out because they are definitely in the run. Lions at Bears.
What's crazy about this game is not only are their records so similar, both these teams are coming off a week where they got stomped out in the exact same fashion by more dominant teams. You know, the Bears got just completely destroyed by the Packers and you know, the Texans and the Lions here. Now, it's tougher than it looks because I think most people would just say the Bears are going to win this because the Lions got beat by a worse team. Yes, the Packers are one of the best teams because of Aaron Rodgers, but they just fired Matt Patricia. I'm going to give them at least a 1-game bump. The 2-game bump doesn't seem to be happening this year. It seems like a 1-game bump. But I'm still going to go with that. I'm going to go with the Lions to beat the Bears on the road.
Fun fact, before the firing, 3 out of the 4 head coaches in that division had the first name Matt. Now that's no longer the case. Yeah. It's only 2. And this would have been a matchup of the Matts as well. It's now Matt Stafford and Matt Nagy. So you're picking the Lions. I'm gonna go with the Bears here. Right. I think they're a better team. I mean, they have to be a better team. I will be definitely here kicking myself for not picking the Lions because I do also believe not personally, but statistically, the 1-game or 2-game bump after coach firing is a real phenomena, even though it shouldn't be by all logic, but it is. I'm going to say it's not going to happen here. They'll take the Bears. I think they're just a better team. Though the Lions, to me, are a more promising team going for the future right now. Bears need to get a quarterback in order. They're a good team, they need to get a quarterback in the house. So we'll see how those develop, but I'll take Chicago. Saints at Falcons.
Yeah, one team needs a quarterback, the other team needs a coach. If they could just switch, I don't know. I don't believe in Matt Nagy anyway. Saints and the Falcons. I know what you want me to do. You want me to pick the Falcons because of that dominant win. And the other thing going against the Saints is, well, 2 more things going against the Saints. They still don't have Drew Brees back. They're still using a glorified tight end as their quarterback here. And I forgot what the other one was.
The fact that it's a divisional game
Yes,
at Atlanta, that's always
it.
crazy.
Yes, it's a divisional game. My train of thought just like ran right off the rails there. It's a divisional game, and it's so tough to beat any team twice in a season, even if that team you're playing is a bad team. Now,
except whenever it's the Rams, then it's easy, and it just seems to happen naturally.
Yeah, that's another thing. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, the thing that the Falcons doesn't have for them is they can't stop that dominant defense. The Saints have solidified themselves as a defensive team right now, and one of the best defenses. They're up there with the Steelers now. You know, they're just you can't score on them. I don't know what they did, but those guys are really good. And as much as I hate it, I'm still gonna pick the Saints on the road.
Agree. I will also take them. The hype is a bit too much again. Of course, it was a blowout win over the Raiders, but I can't trust this Falcons team of constantly or consistently actually living up to their potential. They haven't done it all year. I don't see why they should, and the Saints have been consistent. I think if the Falcons play at their best, for given the talent that they have on the roster, this would be an even matchup, but they just haven't done it. Saints have done it. Even without Drew Brees, they should win. Giants at Seahawks.
See, I've got to change my prediction here, because I picked the Giants to win this division last week, but now Danny Dimes is injured. So if we're going with Colt McCoy, I'm changing it to the Washington football team. And I don't think either one of those teams win today, but I'll tell you why the other one later. Seahawks, you know, that game was not very good. Yeah, the Seahawks won handily against the Eagles, but Russ is not playing as well as he did at the beginning of the season. And you could say that for all of the MVP candidates except for Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers might pull that out. But we'll see. Seahawks at home. Yeah, they should easily beat the Giants, especially with Colt McCoy back there.
I like making those heroic picks, but there's absolutely no sense in this one. Without Daniel Jones, it's not going to be close. I, by the way, did have Washington from the start,
yes.
with the start being last week to win the division, though it's still open, of course, but I'll take Seattle here, no doubt. Rams at Cardinals.
Are we going to call the Cardinals frauds now?
I mean, I kind of did that before the season.
Yeah. They are 6-5 right now. For a team that has been so dominant with what people argued as the number one quarterback in the league this season. I mean, people actually made that argument up until the past 2-3 games.
Well, I mean, that was an insane argument at all times.
Yeah. Dude, I think by next week, they're a 500 team. I mean, what did they had to win the first 4 to 5 games, and now they're about to be a 500 team. The Rams didn't look great last week, but I still think overall that defense is good enough to hold down Kyler Murray. I mean, he's not even running right now. I don't know what happened. Maybe he either lost his nerve or people realized if they put their hands up, he can't see over them. I don't know. I'm going to go with LA on the road to win this one.
A lot of it's been related to play calling as well. For some reason, that they changed up a lot over the past few weeks. Whenever at the start of the season they had him scramble a lot. They ran a lot of the spread offense, the boot fakes, and the quick out passes. They've been using him as a pocket quarterback, which makes very little sense. So that's definitely part of it. But this is a tough game to pick. I'll say this is a really, really hard game for me to pick. At Arizona. This is, to me, basically a pick'em, because we know the Rams are typically a little bit worse than usual against the Niners, so that it wasn't a bad loss. Also, wasn't very close. It was very close, sorry. And Cardinals seem unpredictable in general. Now, I said that Kyler Murray wasn't going to have as great a season as people thought he was going to. But with the Rams, it's always an enigma to me. So for me, I'm going to pick the Rams to bounce back here. But I'm expecting it to be a very close one. And this could be one of those classic NFC West overtime dramas. I would not be surprised. Could come down to like a fake punt or something silly, because those games often seem to do that. The division is kind of famous for that. Patriots at the Chargers.
Another tough one, really, because the Patriots are coming off a win and the Chargers are coming off of yet another loss. And everybody expected them to lose to the Bills. That's no surprise. But Justin Herbert had arguably his worst game of his NFL career so far. Which is not, years and years worth of games. But from what we've seen, we expected a little more because the Bills' defense is not unbeatable by any means. But it is what it is. I think the Cam Newton's throwing for less than 100 yards a game. I don't know. Cam Newton, I don't think he's got it anymore. As much as I wanted to believe he still did after that Seahawks game, right now he's proving that he doesn't have it anymore. If you can't win with the Patriots and Bill Belichick, who can you win with? I am actually probably taking the upset pick here and taking the Chargers at home because I would assume that Vegas has the Patriots to win this game.
You're gonna maybe love to hear this, but Vegas has this game at an exact pick'em. I looked at the odds before. One of the very few pick'ems we've had actually this year. And I thought, on first I was like, wow, that looks weird. But then the more I think about it, yeah, this makes sense. This kind of makes sense. Because the Chargers have been underachieving. They're better than their record. The Patriots are pretty much as good as their record. They're going to end up probably about being 500, and that's what it is with Cam Newton, who doesn't seem to really have it. And the defense, not on the level as it has been the last few years where they were able to be the number one defense in the league and kind of pull it out. With the holdouts and the injuries that they've suffered. It's a tough game to pick. This is a really, really tough one. I will go with the Chargers to win it as well because I do believe in Justin Herbert to take it. Though I realize that this is a very tough pick, or it seems like a very silly pick to make, picking against the Patriots. But Bill Belichick isn't on the field. That's simply what it comes down to. And if he were if he were to coach an entire high school team, line him up in the NFL, he would still lose because he can't play for himself. So Chargers should be the better team in almost all facets. The question is, my faith in Anthony Lynn is kind of limited at this point because he has been continuously underachieving this entire year with a team much, much better than their record is looking. But I think they are going to just get it done because they're so much more talented in this game than the Patriots. Also, they are playing at home, so slight bonus there. Eagles at the Packers.
Oh, this shouldn't be a contest here. The Eagles seem to be getting worse. I hate it for Carson Wentz because I do believe that this guy can be an MVP caliber quarterback. I mean, we've saw it. We've seen him excel in the past to where he was in the race for the MVP until he was injured. But now it looks like they're getting ready for Jalen Hurts, and I don't know if they're just maybe Doug Peterson is hoping to light a fire under Carson Wentz and say, hey, we got the kid back here. If you don't get it done, we're going to put him in. And he could be saying that, hoping that Carson Wentz is going to get it together. But he doesn't seem to be, and they're starting to use Jalen now. So I don't know, man. They have so many problems there in Philadelphia, but I do think the team could be better than what they are right now. Packers at home, this shouldn't be a contest at all.
Totally agree with the result. Packers at home. Of course, Aaron Rodgers makes his team fantastic. As for the Eagles, it's a tough situation to really evaluate at this point. I think Carson Wentz, similarly as for Sam Darnold, I very much root for him to be able to go somewhere else after this year and get away from the mess that he has been surrounded with. If that happens for Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts starts, here's my bold prediction: Doug Peterson is going to be unemployed within 12 months.
Yes.
Because this Eagles team is similar to what is going to happen to the Packers and the Jets. Not even to the Jets because that can't happen, but they are going to fall down a hole once that quarterback, that scapegoat right now, is gone. Same thing is going to happen to the Rams, by the way, because there's a lot of talk about the Rams fans being unhappy with Jared Goff. A lot of those things, or a lot of those times, people don't really appreciate an okay or a serviceable quarterback whenever their team otherwise is terrible. And in the case of Aaron Rodgers, of course, one of the greatest of all time. Which brings me to, once again, picking the Packers easily because he right now is just playing better than anyone in this league. He's the best quarterback in the league this year. And to me, at the moment, the MVP frontrunner. We'll see if he's able to continue that. And he should do that with a clean win over the Eagles. The Broncos at the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about it, man. The 2015 draft class, quarterback draft class, fell apart last year with Mariota and Winston. So this might be happening to the next season as we speak. Goff and Wentz might be done. I think he could excel somewhere else. But Broncos and Chiefs, man. The Broncos played. Speaking of quarterback problems, they didn't have one. They used a practice squad wide receiver as their quarterback. And that's not a Taysom Hill incident there. This guy was horrible. And he looked like he was smaller than Kyler Murray to me for some reason. He was not a quarterback. I mean, maybe he did play quarterback at some university in college, but he's not an NFL quarterback. And I kind of feel bad at what the NFL did to the Broncos. I mean, nobody expected them to win the game in the first place. And, yeah, I don't know. It was a bad situation. Chiefs, still dominant. And like I said last week, I predicted the Patriots and the Buccaneers to go 8-8 this season. And thanks to help from guys like Patrick Mahomes, I can see my dreams come true here. I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win at home here because this shouldn't be any contest. I don't even care if Drew Lock is back. This still should be no contest. But I do want to ask you one thing, though. Who ends up with more losses by the end of the season, the Steelers or the Chiefs?
Oh, by the end of the season, only the regular season, right?
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to say the Chiefs because they have one and the Steelers do not. But it's a tough one to pick for sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. As for the game, unsurprisingly, I'm picking the Chiefs. Of course, they're going to win, but not much to discuss there. But another funny anecdote. I think, and I mean this, as serious as you could imagine I could ever mean anything. During this last game with Denver, they would have done better in their passing offense if John Elway put on the helmet and went out there. And I seriously mean this.
Yes.
100%. Now, of course, not going to happen, right? But
yeah.
It would have been better. It would have been better for them.
Yes,
It's
it really would
ridiculous with them not having a single healthy quarterback on the roster. And still being forced to play. By the way, whenever the NFL has willingly shifted the schedule for other teams before, but it was basically done from the start. So Chiefs win this one; they're a better team. No matter who starts a quarterback, even with Drew Lock, he could make it a bit closer, but the Chiefs are better. The Washington Footballs at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, the football team is proving they are the best team. I mean, who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? They are the best team in that division. And their record doesn't show that because nobody's record shows anything of note in that division. The Alex, man, they look dominant. Man, that was a great game. But I guess who's more dominant? The Steelers, that defense. I don't care how good Alex is doing right now. The Steelers defense is probably the best, If it's not the Saints, then it's the Steelers. And I will take the Steelers to win this one. But I tell you the truth, I wouldn't be surprised if the football team finds a way to pull out some crazy fluke victory like this.
I was so strongly considering picking Washington in this one. Like all week, I've had it in my mind. Like, am I gonna give him Washington? Am I gonna surprise Smokey with this pick? And I was gonna ask you if I did pick them, if it was gonna be worth 2 points. But I don't think that would be granted. No, I will pick the Steelers because it makes sense. Washington is one of the below average teams in the league still, and the Steelers are undefeated. That being said, the Washington football team just might make the playoffs, which would be something I'd feel great for Alex Smith to be able to start a playoff game. By the way, it would be a great story. And this also basically the comeback player of the year bowl, if we can call it that, with Ben and Alex Smith.
Yes.
Probably come down to those two, but yeah, Steelers win the game. Then late game, we have the Bills at the 49ers.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I think it is going to come down to those two, and it's probably going to be Alex Smith just for the feel-good story. Even though Ben has played lights out pretty much all season, you know. But I'm hoping we can finally disagree on something here. I want you to take your team, and I'm going to take my team.
So you want me to pick first, or do you mean I pick the Niners, you take the Bills?
Yeah, that's what I want. So basically, I'm asking you: are you picking the Niners?
Man, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not picking the Niners. I cannot.
So we're just gonna
too much trouble.
We're just gonna agree on all the games this week, huh?
Well, not all of them, I think, but you can go ahead and pick the Niners. Yeah, I'm happy for you to do it.
No.
If you want me to go first, I can give my take on why. It's just too much trouble going on right now. First of all, this game is in Arizona because they cannot play in Santa Clara because the whatever community official there is going completely insane.
Yes.
So they are not allowed to play. They have last second they need to move. And it's not a good situation at all. Typically, they look better against the Rams than they do against anyone else. And the Buffalo Bills are a very good team, and this should be one that they win against. With the Niners pass rush basically being completely out for the entire season, it seems Bosa, Ford, and Solomon Thomas all gone. They have to rely on the blitz more than ever. And the best quarterback in the league against the blitz is Josh Allen, has been all year. He has a better passer rating against plays where he faces at least 6-man pressure than against any other coverage, which is amazing. So I think that Buffalo's going to win it. They are more serious to be a playoff team. That being said, if the Niners win this, I'm going to say they might be back in the race, which I didn't believe at all. After the Seahawks game, I called the season over. They might be back if they win it. I don't see it currently with the roster depth, but this is going to be a close one, and the odds say it too. Is a 2.5 point favorite is Buffalo, so very close divide, and I think it's going to be a close one, but Buffalo should prevail.
Yeah, I mean I agree with all that, and I was just thinking about when you were talking about how good Josh Allen is against the blitz. Reminds me of Cam Newton in 2015. And I think I might have pointed that out once or twice, but yeah, I'm gonna pick the Bills too. There should be no reason for the 49ers to win this. I mean,
no Garoppolo still.
Josh Allen's really gonna have to turn it on though if he wants to be MVP, because Aaron Rodgers, man, he's not losing. He's just not losing games. So Josh Allen's going to have to turn it on for the rest of the season. He's not playing bad by any means. He's actually really good. He has had a few bad games, and that's the problem. He's had more bad games than Aaron Rodgers has. But, I'm going to take the Bills easily.
And then final game, the Wednesday game with the schedule shifting, we have the Cowboys at the Ravens.
Yeah. And here's the thing, is just from the outside looking in, you're going to say the Ravens should win this game easily. And anybody in their right mind would say that, considering how these teams have played this week. The Ravens, though, have this problem where they're mad at the NFL for not postponing the game, and they don't have Lamar Jackson, but they still have RG3, who is a decent running quarterback. Actually, very similar to Lamar Jackson, but I don't know, man. The Cowboys look good at times with Andy Dalton, and at times they don't. I don't know how the Ravens are going to play tomorrow night. As of this recording, that game hasn't happened yet, so I think I'll stick with it though. I don't want to get too cute. I'm gonna pick the Ravens at home.
Every single team in the NFC East right now has a negative point differential. It's unbelievable. Compared it to the NFC West, every single team has a positive point differential. And
wow.
If there's ever a point where the NFL needs to rethink its playoff system, this is one of the best examples of that situation. But for this game, we'll see what keeps happening to the Ravens. It's really tough to predict this. And it would definitely be preferable if we could kind of pick this after the Ravens actually played the Steelers and see the further development of that storyline. But either way, I'm going to say Baltimore should win this game because the Cowboys are terrible. They're 3-8. They're last place in their division, and they might have the worst. Point differential outside of the Jets in the NFL, which is also unbelievable. So Baltimore Ravens should win the game with or without Lamar Jackson, and they should win the game no matter what happens with the Steelers game. So that wraps up our predictions. Do you want to give a quick outlook on what we can look forward to with the hurry up offense this week?
Yeah, the topic this week is going to be about, can we still trust the process? Because we know this has been a horrific season for fantasy. And that's what we need to look at right now is, can we still trust the process?
Okay, so maybe you will write a new fantasy manifesto for next season if you got a completely new strategy. I'd be the first one to buy that. For the betting, getting into the final segment here. If you want to make the easiest $10 of your life, and by the way, I will say last week was the second week this season that we actually won both the bets we made, which I'm proud of. Second time that happened, and this is going to be the third week. I'm very confident that we have, for one, both of these bets. By the way, the odds are from MyBookie. So first bet we're making is the Raiders -7.5. Looks like a big spread, but we are banking all in on that big surprise splash game from last week, Raiders and Falcons. That outcome influences the spreads massively coming into this week, and they are playing the Jets. If the Raiders don't lose in the fashion they did, they'd be like double-digit favorites easily, probably 2 touchdowns. That is cut in half, so 7.5-point favorites against the Jets. Overreaction, just hype with the loss of the Falcons. The Raiders win this easily with double-digit points, so $5 on that. And on the flip side, also we're betting on the Saints because the spread for the Saints -3-point favorite. The Saints are, which sounds ridiculous, but the Falcons had this big win, which influences the odds. Completely stretches them out of proportion. This should be a much bigger spread. We're taking advantage of that. We're picking 2 favorites just because the odds are, or the spreads are much smaller than they should be because of that one single game. So taking full advantage of that for the easiest $10 of our lives. Once again, that is all for the betting. Do you have anything to add for predictions for this week?
No, I think that's it for this week.
All right, everybody, look forward to the Hurry Up Offense. If you're a fantasy football player, you have to check that out for sure. That's coming up soon on this channel. And thank you for watching, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Doses.